We're getting the introduction of not just food deserts because grocery stores are closing, but now pharmacy deserts. You don't even have a place to get your prescriptions because CVS is closing down a bunch of stores. Not just CVS, guys, it's also Walgreens. CVS to close 3 stores in Chicago area by the end of January, and they've already done so, right? Seems like CVS kicked off the new year with 3 store closures. Now, there's still a remaining 62 locations within the city of Chicago, but many of the stores being closed down are generally stores that have been robbed numerous times. Medication are not cheap, guys. We're looking at a very simple bottle of, let's say, heart medicine. We're looking at like $500 to $2,000. These medications are pretty expensive, especially if you look at some of the narcotics and the controlled substances, especially the controlled twos. They go for thousands of dollars for a single bottle, and no wonder these CVS pharmacies are now being targeted. And the crime in this Chicago area is so bad. I mean, I have seen NYPD cops traveling in pairs, but I've never seen the U.S. Postal Service sending 2 people in a single mailbox because they keep getting robbed. And it made me wondering, why is the USPS being robbed? It's very simple. These mails have a lot of people's addresses. They have credit cards, they have checks. Some even have, money orders, and other addresses are very valuable, right? And also your information. Some even have, your credit card that's going to be sent to your doorstep and it gets snagged. So yeah, Chicago's getting so bad. 2 mailmen per truck. I've never seen this before. Of all the mailboxes and of all the mail stuff I've ever seen, it's always like that one dude delivering mail. But now they're even targeting the messenger who's trying to get you your electric and water bill. This is crazy, guys. And Chicago is not getting better at all, especially with them spending so much money on the migrant crisis. They have little to no money for a lot of its local residents. And if you look at this, food deserts are plaguing Chicago neighborhoods. Okay, can the city recover from this? 3 Walmarts, 4 Walmarts have closed around that range. And we're also seeing a Whole Foods being closed. And the Trader Joe's, no way they're moving in. Not to mention the Save-A-Lot, which has been planned for already a couple years, they're now feeling kind of iffy. In fact, the incentives for a private company to open a grocery store in some of the food deserts in Chicago are very high. We're looking at millions of dollars and very easy red tape to cut. But a lot of these stores like, heck no, we're not opening our store here. In fact, if you open a store here, chances are it's probably going to get robbed. This is how bad it is. It's so bad that the city might actually run a city grocery store because there's not a single private company that want to open here. The crime is just simply so bad to the point that mailmen have to travel in pairs. It's something you'll never see in many other cities around the world. It feels like Chicago's just unique in this aspect, and that's in a bad way. Walgreens closure in West Roseland leaves neighborhood without pharmacy for miles. Like I said, the pharmacy desert is real. There's going to be places where people cannot get their subscriptions and a lot of the pills that they got. This is an enormous deal. Nobody is laughing at this. Nobody is happy about this. Everyone's very angry because groceries are one thing, but now medications. And it's very difficult for some patients to grab these medications because now pharmacies are open miles. You're going to have to get an Uber. You're going to have to get someone to drive you there. A lot of these pharmacies are open in neighborhoods where people could just simply walk to because the robberies are so intense that even Walgreens is now shutting down several stores in the next few weeks because of the massive robberies. And some of these articles are written in late 2023, and many of them have actually closed. It wasn't just a threat, and some people even called out these stores, be like, you won't ever close, but they actually closed. And people are actually pretty angry about this. And I do feel bad for a lot of the local residents who live in these areas that are experiencing food deserts and pharmacy medication deserts. This is something that's kind of unacceptable here. But unless Chicago changes and just lower the crime by half, not even all the way, and try to get rid of the nickname Chirac, and I guarantee you many of these stores will come flooding back. This is a very capitalist market, guys. If a market makes a store lose money, there won't be a single store. If a market where it's easy to make money and businesses can feel safe, that area will flourish. And this is why many of the really crazy neighborhoods of Chicago are experiencing this massive downturn. And the city do anything? Absolutely not. Like I said, the city is already going broke from trying to solve the migrant crisis. They got 30 to 50,000 migrants in the city with nowhere to house them. And they also expect a lot of people in Chicago to be cool with it. And now Chicago is struggling so bad that they're trying to get other people around the Chicago area, to host a lot of these migrants. Go to Chicago right now, right? It used to be like a downtown loop area, and now Chicago is asking many of the suburban mayors and governments around the Chicago area, and even going as far as South Illinois, like a lot of these cities, which have nothing to do with this whole entire migrant crisis, to house some of the migrants, because Chicago is literally going broke. And if the city doesn't have that much money, do you really think they have time to solve crime in South Chicago? It's getting worse. It's not getting better at all. And it seems like Chicago is always doing its same old thing. Nothing really ever changes. Just like how San Francisco, they can't even put a toilet in the park. And they spent years trying to do that. I think just too many regulations for Chicago. They're spending way too much money on this migrant crisis situation. And they don't know what to do. You have to be pretty desperate. Even some of the Democrats are like, come on, guys, stop doing this. This sanctuary city situation is really draining the budget, so much so that we can't do anything. There's such high crime, businesses are leaving. You can't even offer these stores incentives to stay open to serve the locals. These stores want to stay. They don't want to leave, guys. But when crime is so bad, like I said, to the point where mailmen have to travel in pairs, like the NYPD traveling in pairs, something is heavily wrong with the city. And look at this, a lot of robberies are happening around the world, but one of the biggest things about Chicago is, it seems to be like robberies are just simply out of control. Expensive stores are being robbed. We're also seeing a lot of areas in Chicago just pretty much facing neglect. And we're not even going to be seeing, these food deserts or pharmacy deserts. We might even start seeing, gas stations closing down. That is also a big thing. We might even see small mom and pop stores leaving, and who knows, even like a liquor desert. I don't even know. Chicago, so many stores are leaving, and it's not just the suburb, guys. Downtown Chicago is no way any better, with some of the most expensive real estate pieces in the past few years now selling for pennies on the dollar. And a lot of these real estate pieces are mostly affected by the high crime. If you guys think crime is located only in certain parts of Chicago, that's not true. Crime is already expanding into places where there's a lot of tourists and places where there is a lot of foot traffic. Let's see what happens to Chicago right now so far. Not great at all. I think Chicago can change if they implement something really big changes, but I don't really think Chicago, San Francisco, Seattle, these cities will do any sort of massive change to switch things up. But who knows? I've been to Chicago. It was really fun. The skyline was great. But this is not a place where many Americans want to live anymore. Thanks for watching, guys. Comment below. Subscribe for more news. And see you guys later.